Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of May 9th through the 15th of 2022. Alright, so this week we have quite a bit of shifts and changes. We do have Mars and the Sun changing sign this week. We've also got Mercury going retrograde, changing direction here around Tuesday. And then at the end of the week, we do have a lunar eclipse, very important for our life path. Oftentimes some important shifts and changes along our life journey. And so that'll be culminating at the end of the week. So all in all, at the beginning of the week, starting to rework some things with that Mercury retrograde. Go back, re-edit, expect some flexibility these next few weeks. Then around Thursday, Mars goes into more watery Pisces. It's good to be a little more receptive in life, especially wherever we're putting our action or our intentions. Then Saturday, the Sun goes into more grounded Taurus, focusing on self-reliance. Resourcefulness will likely be a major theme for the next month plus. And then again at the end of the week, that lunar eclipse. And it will be in Libra, so it'll be very much about finding balance in our life and maybe making some of those shifts and changes to incorporate more balance along that life journey. All right, so let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here is the sky for this week. We're going to start first with Monday, May 9th through Sunday, May 15th. And as you can see here, we are using the actual size of the constellations on this channel, which is very different from mainstream astrology. In mainstream, all forms of mainstream, they're using an even 30 degrees for all the signs. But if you do look up at the sky visibly, you will see that the constellations are actually different sizes. And so we are taking this into account, and essentially the astrology is the equivalent of going up and looking up at the sky and seeing exactly where all the placements are of the planets, which is very different from mainstream. So if you're new, definitely check out that link down below for more information. All right, so let's do a little bit of a recap, take a look at the fast movers, see where everything is coming into this week. We still have the Sun finishing Aries this week up until about Saturday. And so the focus is and has been very good for taking initiative. It's the part of the lunar month, part of the year, to take that action, that initiative, likely themes around cultivating this side of ourselves. And so anything that we are focused on that is about that action, initiative, also independence, right? Maybe a bit of that fire in our lives, and moving that energy forward is, of course, still great with the Sun here. Of course, the Sun will start to shift into Taurus late in the week on Saturday, where Mercury is and will be going retrograde this week. And so our minds are definitely, at least it's good to see things a little bit more in the grounded sense with Mercury and Taurus, thinking a little bit slowly, steadily, even in our routine, stopping to smell the roses, taking things one step at a time mentally and also routinely in our day-to-day lives. And so this will be what we'll be reworking and going back over. Also themes around self-reliance, resourcefulness, and all that we'll talk about in just a moment with that Mercury retrograde. But then Venus is still well set in Pisces, where Mars is going to start to join here about Thursday. And Pisces is all about having more receptivity, putting our energy in directions that are more soul-fulfilling versus ego-fulfilling, or bringing a little bit more soul fulfillment in our lives, such as peace and tranquility, things like that. That's going to be added more and more, in this week as Mars shifts in there. But Mars is finishing Aquarius up until Thursday, so it is good to still take action in a way that's progressive, a bit of an unorthodox way, challenging the status quo a little bit, and being a bit innovative there is and always is good, but especially with Mars finishing Aquarius. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look now at the aspects. As you can see, it's not a whole lot of actual aspects this week, but I would say it's a very important week with that Mercury retrograde around Tuesday. Again, we have a lot of sign changes. Thursday, Mars will go into Pisces. Saturday, the Sun will go into Taurus, and then of course that lunar eclipse at the very end of the week. So lunar eclipse will be very late Sunday going into Monday, and both days really depending on where you are in the world there. All right, so let's break this down one day at a time, starting now with Monday, May 9th. And here we do have the moon in Leo, where we'll have the moon in Leo up until mid-Wednesday. And this is definitely the coming out of what could be some of the challenges from this lunar cycle that maybe we felt late last week or over last weekend, coming out of that first quarter moon, and starting to build some momentum as we go into this week, maybe coming off of that more tense or challenging energy and going into what is more of a trine or supportive energy of the gibbous phase of the lunar cycle. And so this is where the sun and moon are both in fire signs. Again, the sun being in Aries, that main theme around action and initiative. While that's great to be focused on, these first few days of the week, great for self-expression. The moon in Leo is all about connecting to the things and people we love in life, expressing ourselves, doing what we find fun or playful or creative, right? Leo the lion, things we're proud of, things we can express, likely major themes around that. And again, just all in all, good to develop here these first few days. But these first few days is where Mercury is stationed, about to go retrograde, and will go retrograde on Tuesday for about the next 3 weeks. So this happens 3 times a year, not a big deal, but always good to be mindful of the retrograde, since once Mercury goes station around Tuesday, things do tend to slow down and tend to pause, or at least it's good to slow down and pause when it comes to our routines particularly, or whatever we rely on a day-to-day basis. Also the way we think about things as well. Mercury's our thoughts and our perspective of life in a sense. So allowing a lot of this kind of whatever we're thinking about and whatever we're doing on a day-to-day level to kind of allow for some reworking, right? So a pause with it around Tuesday, maybe shift some ideas, shift some plans and some agreements, some things in the day-to-day, maybe go back, do some maintenance or some editing or reworking some things. Fantastic to do during the actual retrograde, and we may notice some shifts with that around Tuesday. So again, that Mercury is in resourceful Taurus, and so there could be specifically, and this is again very general because it applies to the whole world at this time, but maybe some themes around going back and re-examining things that deal with self-reliance, resourcefulness, our inner resources. All right, going back and maybe, working on things like self-worth, self-value, self-efficacy, the belief in ourselves, these kinds of things. And then, of course, externally, Taurus can be the outer resources, which is good to maybe go back and redo there. So it could be financial for some. It could have to do with, the nature, food, resources, the natural world. These are the kinds of things that will be, in a sense, going back and redoing. Of course, you can check to see where Taurus is in your natal chart by going to the chart calculator on the website, masteringthezodiac.com, to see exactly where the retrograde is, wherever you have Taurus. But generally, for everyone, it will be about reworking our inner and outer resources and redoing some things to cultivate those inner and outer resources there. All right, so that's the Tuesday shift there. And then, of course, that moon will be in Leo still up until mid-Wednesday. But once we do get to the later part of Wednesday and for almost pretty much the whole week until Sunday, the moon will be in more grounded Virgo. And Virgo is all about the improvement, right? And this is where we've had the last lunar cycle, the last 2 lunar cycles, if I remember correctly. And so, in a sense, it's not really the lunar cycle had started, the last 2 full moons, I should say, to be more clear. Last 2 full moons were Virgo full moons. But anyways, this, really bulk of the week, really the second half of the week, all around improvement. And so what are some things that we can get into the details with, get into improving, refining? Virgo the maiden is all about getting into the details, analyzing, fixing things, taking care of what needs to be fixed, right? That improvement orientation and striving towards some sort of perfection, right? Perfection of what we do have control over, while at the same time, of course, letting go of what we don't have control over, where Pisces reminds us that everything is, in a sense, perfect the way that it is. And, it's important to let go of what we don't have control over. And I'm really emphasizing that now because with that moon opposite up to all these planets in Pisces, and now with Mars shifting into Pisces around Thursday, there is a lot of emphasis here. And so, Thursday, Mars will shift into here. Now, Mars specifically is about where we put our action and where we set our intentions, right? Where we put our energy. It's the fire, right? It's the drive. It's very much that Aries energy. But, Pisces is very different, right? So Pisces deals with having to sometimes take a step back. Sometimes inaction is the best action. And just all in all, making sure that wherever we're putting that drive, wherever we're putting that Mars energy in our life, is towards things that are soul-fulfilling, right? And more spiritually meaningful to us, right? And in a way that is listening to the currents of life and then putting energy into those currents, right? Versus swimming upstream, for example, or fighting, the currents or the flow of life, right? So good to, especially with all these planets and now Mars, listen to our intuition, our inner guidance, take a step back sometimes, see how we can align our drive towards more soul fulfillment, towards also a little bit more presence, a little more receptivity. And mind you, this is a long transit of Mars, so Mars is a relatively slow moving, well, it's the slowest moving fast mover, right? And Pisces is a very large constellation. Okay, so let me actually just, let me just see here so you all know. I don't normally do this. I don't know why I'm doing this actually, but let's see exactly, how long Mars is going to be in Pisces. Okay, up until about July 7th, July 8th. Okay, Mars will be in Pisces, so that's a good chunk of time. Okay, so anyways, that's the Thursday shift with Mars going into Pisces. Now, once we start to get to the Saturday time period, getting really close to that lunar eclipse now, the sun will be shifting into that grounded Taurus. So more themes around focusing on that resourcefulness, that self-reliance. Again, cultivating the inner and outer resources of life while we're redoing that, rethinking, reevaluating that perhaps with the Mercury retrograde, but more of a shift of focus there for the next over month, with Taurus being slightly larger constellation there. Okay, so that's the sun going into Taurus and then really gearing up for what is the lunar eclipse, which will be in Libra on very late Sunday and early Monday. So lunar eclipses are always very important. They're all about those shifts and changes to our life path. And in this case, it is a south node lunar eclipse. So it is about reconnecting to our soul roots. What is, in a sense, important to us on that soul level, kind of like Pisces, but reconnecting to what it is that is our natural soul roots, our natural tendencies. And it can also include a lot of past patterns. So it's very important with any south node energy to be aware and mindful of any unconscious or automatic patterns or even karmic patterns that are sort of almost unconsciously or automatically recurring in our life. Could be, of course, coming from us creating it unconsciously, a little bit of also just the fact that life creates it. I think those are both very much related. What our unconscious invokes is very much what we experience in life. And so very good to be mindful during the lunar eclipse. I'll, of course, make a separate video on this just to be aware of any of these past patterns being released, because that is what the south node ultimately does, and especially with lunar eclipses. We become aware of it with the full moon energy of the lunar eclipse, but it gets worked out in this way. So we bring a little bit more conscious light to those unconscious patterns, to those karmic patterns, and in that way it helps them be released. And collectively, it will be all in all about bringing things back into balance. So Libra itself is a very karmic sign in and of itself. So anything that is out of balance in our life will likely be readjusted. If there's any themes around agreements or contracts or relationship stuff that could also come back regarding the past to be resolved or to bring back into balance or to resolve some karma with, right? This can also be a major theme there as well. So all in all, the lunar eclipse, very powerful. Ultimately, it's about shifts and changes to our life path as we do some of this clearing, this awareness work. We become more in alignment. We bring more balance into our life, and we make whatever shifts and changes there to continue the journey with the eclipses. Okay, and all in all, again, I'll make the video on this, but it's mixed with the energy. There's going to be a square up to Saturn with the lunar eclipse, but also a trine up to Jupiter and the Neptune, Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. In fact, this is what you're seeing here on Sunday. It's just the eclipse aspects here. The square to Saturn, the sextile to Jupiter, the sextile to Neptune, which is also a sextile up to Jupiter, them being quite close still. And on Sunday, there will be a conjunction here with Venus and Chiron. So when it does come to specifically the relating stuff, and maybe that Libra stuff, relationship stuff, could certainly be some healing energy going on. It kind of makes already a lot of sense with the South Node being about, resolving karma and stuff like that, in Libra. But Chiron is the healing comet, so there could be literally some things that makes it a new chapter, really, where we're starting to feel more healed or transformed or rejuvenated as a result of really a new beginning in our perhaps relationship life, fundamentally with our values. I think especially with all this Taurus energy, there's a rethinking of a lot of our values, right? Those resources, but also those values of life. And so there could be a new beginning, a new understanding of what it is we enjoy, what it is we value. And of course, this comes through in relationships, as what we value is oftentimes what we connect with, what we enjoy, how we like to connect in those relationships. And so it's certainly a new healing beginning here, quite neutral in the healing side of it. And I think it's going to be a new beginning with our values and relationships, resulting in us feeling a little more healed, a little more rejuvenated, right, and transformed in that sense. So that's going to be going on as well. All right, everyone. So that is the week in a nutshell. Pretty straightforward. We've got this Mercury going retrograde next 3 weeks. And then so pausing on Tuesday, but the next few weeks, allowing for flexibility. Things change during a retrograde. It's good to do things during a retrograde. So long as you have a plan A, B, C, and D, you're learning, you're flexible, you're willing to adapt for the changes, because we do learn a lot during those retrogrades, and they're great times to do things, especially re-editing or doing things from the past. So anyways, that starts around the Tuesday time. Then we have that Mars going into watery Pisces, adding to that importance of being receptive and attuned and being soul guided when we're putting our action. And then Saturday, the sun shifts into more resourceful Taurus, placing a main theme on cultivating our inner and outer resources as we rethink those with the Mercury retrograde. And then the lunar eclipse, very late Sunday, early Monday, which will be a awareness of some patterns on that South Node, karmic energy to be resolved, to help us make some shifts and changes along our life journey, and as a result, creating more balance in our lives, both personally and likely interpersonally. All right, everyone. So that is the week in a nutshell. Have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're not yet signed up for MTZ Insiders, it is a free newsletter where you do get these videos released first, and also extra content that's not normally released on YouTube. So if you're not yet signed up, definitely check out the link down below for that. But have a great week, everyone. Thank you again. And I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take care.